Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mount Moon Review Podcast, where we never fail to evolve in less than 3 critical hits. I am your host, the Razgrees, with my co-host, the Blue Duck Gold Duck, bringing you everything you need to know about Pokemon. Duck, there has been some interesting stuff coming out in the world of Pokemon this week, but it's been kind of hard to watch and read everything because I've been too busy playing Sword and Shield.
Yeah, same here. I literally spend every waking moment I'm not working or driving on the game.
I see you say that, but yesterday I was sending you all these messages about how much of a problem I was having with a max raid battle, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a problem." You just kept like, "Oh, yep, that sucks to be you."
That's because I wasn't on my normal account. I was on the Japanese account getting Japanese dittos for you and everybody else that supports us.
So, welcome to the Mountain Review Podcast, your source for Japanese Ditto.
You say that, but that could make us blow up.
Good, because I do
That's
have
all anybody's asking for on the forums.
I do have a Japanese dildo. Yeah, I have a Japanese ditto. Well, so Doc, how you been?
I guess we can upload this on YouTube now.
Which we are going to cover in detail about Pokegate when it comes to YouTube. But how your week been, other than the fact that you have been doing nothing but playing Pokemon Sword and Shield on both an American and Japanese account?
It's been pretty good.
I mean, how is the life of Duck, other than life itself being a grind?
It's good. I'm performing quite well at work, so.
Really, you're not sneaking off to the bathroom to play Sword and Shield?
No.
Like you were with Pokemon Masters?
No.
It was so bad your boss goes, "Oh, I must be off going to the bathroom again."
I would say I would go to the bathroom when Pokemon dropped the trailer.
Well, I know this is not in the order that you wrote it in today, but since you say trailer, let's segue into something that happened to us a couple weeks ago. So we uploaded a video, the video version of our podcast to our YouTube channel, and in doing so, it was immediately flagged by Nintendo. Now, I couldn't figure out why until I went in and looked. They literally flagged our video because we showed the Pokemon anime, the new one. We showed the trailer, the public trailer that they released. We had no audio, and we simply gave commentary about it. And that was under the doctrine of fair use. That should have been absolutely fine. We had another reason that we did not want them to look at it, so we pulled it. But nevertheless, that sounds like a huge major deal, like something that is going to happen to us, and oh no, this is a big problem. But unfortunately, with the YouTube algorithms, that these things are going to happen. What is worse is what's going on with YouTube right now. Well, let me backtrack just a little bit. I was talking about the trailer. We have seen the trailer. Trailer looked amazing. Trailer did look amazing. And for a few hours yesterday, if you were at the right place at the right time, you could have watched the first episode of the anime on YouTube.
This is the Pocket Monsters, like the Sword and Shield anime for Pokemon.
Right, featuring Ash and
Go.
G-O-H, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole scene where they're riding on the back of a Lugia, and they're going through and seeing all these different Kanto Pokemon. I personally did not get to watch the full episode. I've seen clips and stuff on Twitter. But they have since taken that video and made it only viewable if you are in Japan. And apparently nobody has the distribution rights outside of Japan. So now if you're not spoofing yourself into Japan, you're not going to be seeing Pocket Monsters.
Well, I mean, they'll release it in English eventually.
Now, the version that was uploaded on YouTube was English subtitled, so apparently there was that They did it with enough forethought that they knew that this was going to happen. But right now, there's nobody with the distribution rights for it. So for the time being, folks, you are not going to watch Pocket Monsters unless you spoof your, get a trick your computer into get a VPN and say you're in Japan. So,
Well, I'm sure there's other ways.
yeah, other nefarious ways that we don't promote, that we would never promote on this podcast.
Right.
So, yeah, we'd never promote anything nefarious and illegal. No, sir, not us. So, if you're gonna be, I was looking forward to watching it. I really was. I was hoping it
Yeah,
would.
me too. I mean, I wasn't planning on watching it on Pokemon's YouTube channel.
No,
But-
but Sun and I tried watching the Sun and Moon anime a little bit, and I thought it was just atrocious, so I didn't bother with it too much. I was looking forward to this new version. I was hoping that this is gonna be the thing, and
It
now
looks really good. So
it looks
I was
good.
looking forward too, but we're probably gonna have to wait for Sun and Moon to catch up to it.
Yeah, and maybe that's just the case. But from everything that's being reported, there is no distribution rights right now. So I think we're kind of just stuck with what we got, and I don't think it'll take long. It's popular enough. They're probably taking bids for it. But we'll see what happens. But speaking of YouTube, that's where I was going with this originally. So back in, I believe, 2006, there was a law passed that forbid any companies dealing on the internet that have any dealings within the United States from doing any data collection from anybody under the age of 13. Now, this sounds reasonable. It sounds like we're protecting children. And I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is the severe overreach that this has caused. We spoke very briefly about this before the podcast, and you said you didn't feel knowledgeable enough to contribute, but I think your contributions are really important here because we need to hear your opinion from somebody who's looking at this from a non-legal perspective. We have this law that prevents companies such as YouTube from doing any kind of data collection from anybody under the age of 13. Now, the problem you're running into is you have to be over the age of 13 to create a YouTube account. YouTube has a special thing called YouTube Kids where you can go do that. The way the algorithms work on YouTube is they go by what you're watching to recommend other videos. And then there's the videos that whenever you open up YouTube itself, it says, hey, here's similar things that you've watched before. And they try to promote it that way. And luckily, you and I do not monetize our videos on YouTube. Truth be told, we had hoped to at some point, but as of right now, we don't. And if this continues, because I say go forward, it's been in effect for years. But YouTube got a huge fine because they were actually collecting the data on all their users. The FTC says, well, those users are under the age of 13. YouTube says, well, you're not supposed to use this account if you're under the age of 13. But people do. We know this. This is reality. My kids watch YouTube all the time. And the FTC has straight up, honest to God, said that they're going to go after creators, not just YouTube. So they actually used the words in the press conference that going after the creators will be like shooting fish in a barrel. That is the phrase they used, I swear to God. And that was absolutely disgusting to hear somebody in government saying that about citizenry. That they're going to, people that are not breaking any laws in themselves, they're creating content. And then you have the distributor, YouTube, who is then collecting that data. You're not collecting that data. I don't work for YouTube. By definition, I don't work for YouTube. I am an independent contractor selling product to them. So I am not even affiliated with YouTube. YouTube's collecting this data, and they're the ones using it to promote with their algorithms to different people. But yet the FTC is still going to go after creators. So now, come December, you have to mark your videos whether they are intended for children, sometimes viewed by children, or intended for adults only. Well, here's the problem. if I say it is intended for children, then they can't collect data, so which means it will not be pushed out. So no one's ever going to see the bloody thing. It's not going to show up unless you search specifically for that video. It will no longer show up. You will not be able to find it by sheer happenstance. If I'm searching for PokeTuber number 1, and I'm going through his videos, and then oh look, PokeTuber number 3, that's a great thing. So we're going to go there, and now that is no longer going to happen. There will still be the ability to run ads, but if no one's seeing your video, what's the point? There's a lot of controversies, people saying that there will be no ads and no monetization for children's videos. That's not the case. It's just no one's ever going to see the things unless they specifically go to your site. And the whole thing, it's okay. You want to shut it down and not make it, so I can, say monetize my videos, fine. But now I'll make my videos purely for adults. Fine. I'll make it so that, only it's not meant for children. I'll even sit here and I'll say the F word every 3 minutes just to say, here we are, and we're an adult podcast. Doesn't matter. They can say, well, your channel or the thumbnail for this video has bright colors on there, and that attracts children. So now we're going to go after you. There's anything to do with video games, because video games are only intended for children. Despite what pop culture is nowadays, anything video game related, that's intended for children. So we're going after you. Well, of course, Pokemon, which the Pokemon Company clearly says this is a product intended for children, but it's consumed by everybody. I mean, yes, I got into Pokemon in 1995 when it first came out, and I was in school. And that's where my obsession with the product came. Pokemon does not market to me. They still market to kids. It's just I like the product enough that I still go out and get it. So anything Pokemon related, guess what? That's intended for children. So we're going to axe your videos. There's certain words that the FTC are now saying that attract children. The word yeah, Y-E-A-H, is now on that list of things that will attract children. So if I put the word yeah in my title, well, that's attracting children. So we're going to go after you. So I think YouTube as a whole is pretty much dead when it comes to any kind of this content. But for years, YouTube has been pushing this concept of you got to make family-friendly content. You can't make adult content because adult content can't be monetized. So we're going to take away your monetization. There was about this time last year, they demonetized almost all the professional wrestling channels. I knew quite a few people that ran very successful professional wrestling YouTube channels that had their monetization taken away because they were not ad-friendly content. They actually were, but since it had anything to do with pro wrestling, it was taken away. And I think you're going to start seeing like all these unboxing channels and everything. They're going to leave YouTube in droves. YouTube this is like a nail in the coffin. Unless something is done to repeal this law or amend it in some way, I think YouTube as a platform is going to be pretty much done. And I have now been like monologuing for 10 minutes. So Duck, why don't you talk for a little bit before I go hoarse?
So all I'll say is that I do think it's kind of like, I think it's a dumb law not to target kids with ads because you can control what the kids are seeing then. Otherwise, if kids are actually seeing ads, then it could be for anything, right?
As a parent, when my oldest son was born, we made the conscious decision that we got rid of cable television. My 9-year-old son has never had cable television in his house. Why? Because one, we were dirt poor, and we wanted to cut back on our spending, so cable that's $100 a month I don't need to spend. So we got rid of cable television, but also now I don't have to worry about him seeing the latest, greatest new toys that everybody must have this holiday season on the commercials between all the cartoons. So that was a decision as a parent I made. When my children were old enough on their devices, I allowed them to have the YouTube Kids app because I regulated that as a parent. when I eventually with my oldest son, he wanted to watch some YouTube content. Actually, he wants to create YouTube content. I haven't let him get that far yet. Uh, but yeah, I let him have the actual YouTube app. And he has like freaked out when he's heard someone swear and he came apologizing. It's like, dude, it's okay. I get it. I understand. He's mature enough to do that, and I trust him enough to do that. But I also watch what he's watching. He doesn't go off somewhere and watch it on himself because as a parent, that is something I am watching. The laws like this and other laws similar are created and maintained because our society has forgotten that when you bring a child into this world, you are responsible for it. So yeah, my whole thing is what you just said. Uh, if you can manage what they're seeing, great. I don't want them seeing ads for Viagra and Cialis, which run on most things that you watch as an adult anymore, or for this latest new drug that can, cure your dry skin, but it's gonna give you like super AIDS.
Ask your doctor if Super AIDS is right for you.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous, and if you're not willing to watch what your children or what kind of content they're consuming, then don't let them consume it. I'm sorry. Go on, Duck.
Um, well, maybe there's a silver lining in this, and that we have a chance to, if there's, if YouTube goes away, then there's something else, something else is going to take its place, whether it's Patreon or whatever it may be. Then we can put our foot in the door and hopefully come up with whatever platform gets popular.
That's quite possible, and you're going to see droves of people going from one place to another. But I think most of your content creators that are dependent on YouTube you're gonna see their channels having them remove their monetization and going strictly to a platform such as your Patreon, where they're asking for donations. Now, I'm not a big fan of YouTube. The only reason we put content on YouTube is because people have asked us to, because people want to see it. People want to watch the podcast in its video format later on. I am very much a fan of Twitch. I broadcast on Twitch. The podcast is recorded on Twitch. I do all my streams on Twitch. Some people don't like Twitch. There's other platforms out there, and I think someone's going to capitalize on this, and you're going to see Pokemon content. I think you're going to see Pokemon content come off of YouTube in droves sometime between now and the end of the year. All it's going to take is one person to get hit with an FTC infraction for that to happen, because it's not a small fine. I believe it's $48,000 per infraction. So our videos are not monetized, so I don't have to worry about it. Thank God. But that's something you need to watch for. You're gonna see if you're watching this and you're listening to this, you consume other Pokemon content. That's just you do. We're not your only source for information. As much as I like to say that in the tagline, it's not. So you're gonna see a lot of us content creators for Pokemon talking about this, and it's gonna make your ears bleed at some point because it's gonna be so ingrained. But it's something I think needs to get out there, and people need to be aware of that. So I'm sorry to monopolize so much time. If you got nothing else to add to that, I'm going to get off of my soapbox, and I'm going to let Duck move on to whatever he wants to move on to.
Cool. Let's talk about Sword and Shield.
Yay! Bright stuff!
Best game ever.
It is the best game ever. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Wow. So, you've beaten the game now, right?
I have beaten the game, and I believe I may have completed all the post-game content as well.
I actually have one more thing left to do, but I'm refraining from that for a while because it makes part of the grind and post-game a little easier.
Oh. Well, I haven't done the Battle Tower yet, which I know you sent me a screenshot that you have completed and retained the highest level of the Battle Tower, so congratulations.
I made it to yeah, master tier in the single battles, not double battles yet.
So what, tomorrow?
Maybe if I can find a team I like.
You're
I
incorrigible.
don't know as much about doubles. It's weird because that's what VGC is, but I've had the most fun in the formats that are actually controlled by the fans. So like they'll have a group of Pokemon that are like the most common Pokemon, but you're not allowed to use any legendaries, but you can use like Charizard and the powerful ones. And then they
Actually,
have
if I'm correct, you competed in a tournament over the weekend too, didn't you?
I did.
How'd you do?
Uh, I got second place and I lost to the friend who I literally taught how to battle that day.
And then because you encouraged him to enter the tournament too, didn't you?
I did. Well, I was getting ready for it. He was like, I was using what I was doing as a way to teach him because I got my breeding it set up and everything, so now I can get max IV Pokemon, and I was showing him how to do it while, breeding out my team, and so he was doing it right next to me, and he's like, "Oh, cool! Look, I already got a good one." I'm like, "Oh, perfect, dude. Add that to your team then." So then we started talking about the team, and uh he's like, "Well, I'm pretty much done. Do you think I could join?" So Friday night he signed up for the tournament, and yeah, he ended up being the 8th player to sign up. So it was perfect numbers to do a single elimination bracket.
Awesome.
Basically, everybody in the tournament had the same stuff.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
The rules were Gen 8 Pokemon only and Pokemon with Gigantamaxes.
okay.
So like you could use Charizard, but you can't use Jolteon because Jolteon doesn't have a Gigantamax while Charizard does.
Gotcha. Yeah, I only have what three Pokemon that can Gigantamax, and ironically enough, I got my Eevee because I played Let's Go Eevee and I have it on my save, and I did a Wonder Trade, and someone sent me their Gigantamax Pikachu. So, and I have a perfect Pikachu and a perfect Eevee, and I have no idea why somebody did that. See, I'm thinking someone
Yeah,
screwed
I
up.
can't believe they did that.
And Duck says, when I sent him and said, "Hey, look what happened," he's like, "Oh, maybe somebody was doing a good deed," and I'm like, "No, somebody screwed up. Somebody done messed up. That's all there is to it." But I haven't had as much luck as you have. I've got a, semi-perfect Ditto.
Yeah, I don't know how. My buddy called me. He's like, "Yo, I got a 5-star Ditto raid. Come hop in on this." And it ended up being 5 IV, and the only one missing is special attack, which is perfect for breeding physical attack Pokemon.
Sweet. So I gotta send you my stuff to breed. Understood. No.
I'm okay with doing that to an extent.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I'm
Like
not gonna take advantage of it.
okay. Like I had a guy send me a list of hidden ability Pokemon he wanted on Saturday before he went to bed, and before he woke up on Sunday, I had all 3 of them. So
So
I like searching for this stuff. I just can't decide what I want to search for. So if somebody gives me something to look for, I'm like, okay, I'll get that then.
yeah, the Blue Duck eugenics program of Pokemon. It's actually breeding is remarkably simple in this game. They've
Well, it's always this is how it's always been.
it is, but what I'm saying is like the Ditto wasn't the most difficult thing in the world to get your hands on.
Oh, the Ditto is easier to get. Yeah, to have a chance at 4 IV Ditto in Sun and Moon, you had to battle 70 Ditto in a row, and then you get one, and then to get another one, you have to restart and get 70 more in a row.
Oh yeah, no, can't do that. Can't do that. No sir. No, it's pretty easy. So I think that they did create this aspect of the game with competitive play in mind, and hopefully it's not going to stop it. People are going to hack the game. We all know it'll happen, but I'm hoping that this breathes a little bit more life into the VGC because I've said it before. This season's a wash because it's not going to start until January when Sword and Shield will become standard play. So there's no way I'll be able to obtain enough points for London. And I don't want to go to London. So
Same.
I'm just gonna for the rest of this season. I'm gonna come January when Sword and Shield becomes standard. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna go to regionals. I'm gonna mess around just for fun. Come July, however, game on. I'm gonna get wire snippers, go around people, cut people's charging cables if I have to. I'm going. I'm
That's not
gonna.
how you.
What I'm saying is I'm giving it everything. So I'm gonna. It's gonna be cutthroat. I'm telling you right now.
So, other than testing out breeding, what have you been doing post game? Just raids and stuff,
uh,
or
See, I don't have the time, and I'm not saying that to be ignorant. I'm not. Duck. He's a very hardworking person. He works his butt off for everything, and I cannot fault him for that. That being said, I have two very needy. I don't know. I don't. Maybe not. Maybe not needy is not the word. Highly engaging children, and a brand new job, and I just haven't had the time to dedicate to it. So I really, if I get a couple hours here and there, I'm literally just running around the wild area, looking for raids, banking watts, and trying to remember where the hell I bought the the quick balls at, because I can't remember it and it's driving me.
it rotates?
Oh, does it?
Yep.
No, good. I'm not crazy then, because I could have
Yeah.
sworn I got them from one guy.
Yep. It changed. I don't know if it changes every day or what, but yeah, I went to go get quick balls one time, and it was dive balls. So
Okay, so I'm not crazy then. I'm happy. But
just
yeah,
buy 999 of them next time you see them.
yeah. Well, I don't have the watts for that, but
It's only like 40K.
only. Well, I was spending a good bit of time just doing ditto raids with you for the first day or so there, and then we were re-rolling on 5 stars like crazy.
Yeah, which is something we should talk about because that's actually an exploit, and there's a lot of mixed reviews on the
All
on
right,
whether or not people should be doing this.
all right, go for it. Let's roll into
So
it.
the way the exploit works is whether I'm connected to the internet or not. There's a mistake a very popular YouTuber made where he said you had to be connected to the internet. I can confirm 100% to do the exploit, you do not have to connect to the internet, and in fact, you shouldn't connect to the internet to do it. So the way it works is you find a raid, and you find anywhere you can put a raid. You drop the wishing star in to create a raid there, and then it says you're saving. As the message says you're saving the game, you'll see the light come up, like it's either a red light or a purple light shooting out of the raid beam. You can hit the home button, close the game. The game didn't actually save, so you can just keep redoing that over and over again until you get the purple raid, which is higher IVs, better stats on the Pokemon. Hidden abilities are more likely from the purple raids, and there's a different pool of Pokemon you can pull from. They're generally rarer. Like Ditto can only be found in purple raids.
Yeah, and the thing people are if you watch any of the tutorials on how to do this, people are always saying like you need to go and turn the text speed to slow. No, you don't. No, you don't. The only
You have a bigger window to not mess it up if you turn it to slow.
I've never changed my text speed and I've never once messed it up. So
Well, I've messed it up a couple times.
so as with every Pokemon game in existence, every time you go to do something that is going to result in a game save, the text comes up, says, "Do not turn off your console," blah blah blah. Well, it doesn't actually save until that text is completely on screen, and it's 2 lines worth of text. So as soon as that beam comes up, you're almost to the end of the first line. So you just hit the home button, which freezes the game, and you just exit out and close it and open it back up if it's red. And I've gotten so quick on it that as soon as it pops up, even if it's purple, I'm still hitting the button like, oh wait, that was purple, and I go back
I
in.
do that too. So the real exploit, nobody really argued about doing that. The real exploit came when we found out that by saying send an invite to other players for this raid, if you go home, change the date in your Switch, and then go back to the game, it'll change, and then you exit out of it's the raid still thinks you're looking for it, but the raid thinks you were doing it for 24 hours. So you exit out, you say cancel the invite so nobody can join, and then you click on that raid again, it's still purple, but it's a different Pokemon.
Yeah, so it re-rolls the Pokemon to something that you possibly could want better, and it's kind of a mixed thing of what people are saying. A lot of people are saying it gives you once you re-roll it, it gives you a more a rare Pokemon. Because the game's like, well, he's been looking at this for 24 hours. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just dumb luck.
It's not. I don't think it's the case. It's just literally a pull from a draw from the hat.
Yeah.
Whatever is possible from the purple raids in that particular spot. That's what you'll get. Because I've gone from 5 stars to 3 stars to Gigantamax to everything. I did this to get a Gigantamax Grimmsnarl for that tournament.
Yes, you did.
And I don't. Apparently, people are having it's like a 10% chance to catch the Pokemon if you're in somebody else's raid.
I know it must be less because it seemed like you were catching it every time.
We did it 5 times.
And
I caught it all 5 times, and the 2 people in the raid with me
did
not catch it.
It was me. It was me and Kenny. Okay, it was me and Kenny, and we didn't get squat.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That now, how do you feel about this? This is like an online game, right? And I know in most online games, if there's an exploit, I do it as much as I can until they patch it, and then okay, that's fine. You guys don't want me to do this. I took advantage of it while I could. Now I'm not going to do it anymore because you fixed it. Do you think that's morally wrong?
No, and I'll tell you why. The game, it's not. You're not doing anything to manipulate the game itself. The code is there. You're simply increasing your chances with the parameters that they're allowing you to manipulate. If it was you were hacking the game, or you're using any kind of outside force other than the cartridge they provide you and the console that you have not modified, I don't see a problem.
Now I'm kind of in the same group. The only problem I have with it is that guy said that you had to be online. I'm not going to call him out, but he said you have to be online to do it. So now people are online and they're pinging a different Pokemon in their raid every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Then other players are seeing their feeds are filled up with raids that they can't join. And it's already hard enough to join a raid you see.
It is. I've tried to join in with random people, and it's really, really far and in between that you'll actually make it in there with anybody. But on the flip side of that, I've also, every time I've done a raid, I've opened it up, said invite others. Here you go. Come on, anybody come in. Unless you're going after a 5-star Gigantamax, nobody bothers.
And even then, sometimes they don't bother.
Yeah, and then you end up with the computer saying, well, we're gonna match you up with somebody, and then you go in there and oh look, this guy has a Wobbuffet. Oh look, there's the Eevee kid. All he's gonna do is spam helping hands the entire time. It's the AI are dumb as a box of hair.
Yep, it's annoying.
Yeah, very annoying.
But they scale to your level, so if I'm level 100 and they can take a couple hits for me, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
But it's the Gigantamax ones that have the power to one-shot them, even though you're level 100, and that sucks. Especially when, the hardest ones I found are the Sandaconda and the Dreadnought, because they both have spread moves that hit everybody on the field at once, so they'll just knock out 3 guys in one turn.
Yeah, I still haven't beat I still haven't beat a Sandaconda yet.
I've only beat Dreadnought twice, and then they
I can't get him to stay in the bloody ball.
yeah, Dreadnought is broken out every time.
So, if you consume us on iTunes or anything later on as a podcast, you do not get this aspect. But if you watch us live when we're recording on Twitch, you can interact in our chat. Typically, we don't really interact too much except in type form. But John Boy in our chat, who has been a guest on the podcast, says, "I think as long as it isn't competitive and you're not winning money or prizes, then I say it's okay." Well, the thing about it is what we're talking about is by catching these Pokemon, we are going to use them in competitive play.
Right. Resetting for the Ditto. Now, the Ditto that I'm resetting for, the Dittos that I reset for aren't actually the ones I'm using to breed. But I would have if one of them was better than the one I actually got legitly.
Yeah, I mean, I managed to get a four perfect, yeah, no, four perfect IVs, and I think it's like four sixes and two fives is my best one right now. Um, but it's I really want a six IV.
Well, that's
That's the dream,
super
baby.
rare. It's
That's the dream.
164 on every 4-star Ditto you do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the dream, buddy. If we get that 4-star Ditto, man, we're gonna be rocking out. We're gonna be selling Pokemon on the black market.
Well, the 5 IV is pretty much the same as a 6. It
Yeah,
just depends on which stat you're missing. You can only miss attack or special attack on the 5 IV Dittos for them to be good.
yeah,
Because most Pokemon, it doesn't matter if you're a physical attacker, it doesn't matter if your special attack is 0. So if your Ditto is passing down a non-perfect special attack, then it doesn't matter.
yeah. So there's a certain aspect when you're looking for these Dittos that you don't actually have to have the perfect one. It just depends on what you're after. That's why I'm saving all my Dittos just in case. But and to what John's saying is, I as long as you're not doing an exploit, I don't have not an exploit, a hack, or doing something to manipulate the game in a way it was other than intended, or able to do without outside influence. I don't see the problem. I mean, that's
To
if
be completely truthful with you, the people that hack a Ditto into their game to make breeding easier are completely different than the people that literally hack their entire teams in. Like, oh, I want a new team, hack 6 Pokemon in. I really don't see that. I know it's against the rules, and that's why I am choosing not to do it. I did it in X and Y. Well, I mean, I can only assume I got a shiny 6 IV Ditto from somebody in Japan. So it's probably hacked, right? And that's why I chose not to I'm not going to transfer anything I bred to Sword and Shield because I'm going legit, everything's staying legit, but I really don't think it's that morally wrong to breed your Pokemon with a good Ditto. How do you feel about that?
if it's a hacked Ditto, I have an issue with it. But you have no way of actually knowing that it's hacked.
Right.
I wouldn't risk it because the chances of that being legit. And how did you obtain it through a Wonder Trade? I'm assuming.
Just read it.
Oh, you got somebody.
I was
Yeah,
I was on forums and stuff when I was getting into competitive X and Y, and somebody was just like, "Hey, you got a Pokemon I want in your friend Safari? I'll give you my friend code, or if I'll trade you this Ditto, if you give me your friend code." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
yeah,
So
that's suspect.
no, I'm pretty much, you know what I mean. I accept that it's hacked. It's just, you know, I still did the work to get competitive Pokemon through that.
Yeah,
I still bred all the Pokemon I used. They're still bred in game. The problem was I just used that 6 IV Ditto as a base.
which you're not planning on importing that guy
No, I'm
anyway.
not importing it. Nothing. I have a few Pokemon that are like sentimental. They're coming up, but not anything that I bred with that Ditto.
Yeah, I actually have to renew my Pokemon Bank account tonight. um, I'm really wishing they'd push out Pokemon Home, but apparently we're not looking at Pokemon Home until like February at this point.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's. I really wish it was sooner, but they're not in a big hurry for Pokemon Home. We might say Pokemon Sleep before we see Pokemon Home. But there is a number of them I'm going to transfer in because all mine I know are legit because I did some Wonder Trades. I got some garbage, but and like my son, he's working his way through all the games right now. I believe he's on Alpha Sapphire at the moment, and I'm transferring all his stuff so that I can move all his stuff in the Sword and Shield for when he starts playing the game. But
Well, the few that made it in.
yeah, the few that made it in. And actually, here's the kicker. I just moved up all of his stuff from Pokemon X into my bank. He only caught like 18 Pokemon the entire game.
Jeez.
I don't know how he did it. But I'm going to save all those for him, and then when he gets Sword and Shield, I'll just transfer them in for him. But when it comes to the competitive breeding, I'm doing everything I can to try to get that the stuff I need right now to use as a base while I can until the exploits are patched out, because you know they're going to patch them out. And part of me hopes they do. Part of me at the same time saying, "Ha ha! I beat you to it." No. No, there's always gonna be a way to get your competitive Pokemon legit. If you feel that you have to hack something, then go find something else to do. I don't need you in my life.
Yep, I agree.
All right, moving on.
So let's talk theories. I've been looking. I've observed a few things in the game that that are making me, that have gotten my brain turning. And one of them has been turning since the leaks, and that
Oh,
is the 4 fossil Pokemon. So the fossils work differently in this game than they have in any other game, where there's 4 different fossils, and one's a head and one's a body, and you can interchange the heads or the bodies to get 4 different Pokemon. So there's like a Velociraptor head. You can put the Velociraptor head on the Stegosaurus or on the seal, and then there's a fish head, and you can put the fish head on the Stegosaurus or the seal. And they look ugly. They're some of the worst designs on Pokemon. They don't fit. It doesn't make any sense. And so ever since they made those, I'm like, okay, but what do they look like if you have the Velociraptor body on the Velociraptor legs, or on the head on the body? Like,
well,
so
it's funny you should say that, because there is some concept out there by fans. And they're on screen now for those of you that were watching us on our video version. But if you're not, the audio version, we have a couple different things going on here, and they are some of the most hideous things, and looks like something my children would make out of Legos.
yeah, they're bad.
They're really, really bad.
I'm glad they're not that good either. One of them is okay for competitive, but it doesn't seem like most of them are going to get play.
No. So it's the whole concept of this fossil thing, I think, is kind of dumb, because you're what do you call it? I mean, you're creating a new Pokemon essentially. In the lore.
Right.
In the lore of the game, you're like, I'm making this, and now I'm God. All hail Xerneas. And I just, and the stuff that you're able to create with the fossils, I think, is just goofy looking, and nothing really seems to fit.
Somebody in our chat says that they're more creative than the Keyring Pokemon, which is true.
Or the
They're
teapot.
not as bad as the bad ones. No.
This is-
But they're still ugly.
they're hideous. I'm getting them off screen, so let's just get back to that.
So my theory here is that there is for the other 4 halves, they're out there somewhere, but how do we get them? And I can think of 2 possibilities. And one is there's a third game, kind of like, gold. They had gold and silver, and then they made crystal, or ruby and sapphire, and then they made emerald, right? So there's probably going to be a sword, shield, and blank. Now, the order things come out is Sword and Shield, the new generation, then remakes, and then in the year after the remakes, we get the third version. That didn't happen for X and Y, and technically Black and White had two sequels, and Sun and Moon had 2 sequels. So it's hard to say if they're still going to continue the third version things, but I think this is evident, or this is a hint that they might.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Like, in this, like, they added new Pokemon in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon that weren't in the Pokédex for Sun and Moon. So I think the complete fossil versions would be, or could be, added. Or we can assume that we're going to get Sinnoh remakes, Diamond and Pearl remakes as the next games. Maybe, who knows? But fossils were a huge thing in Sinnoh because there was an underground connect. You could connect to people through the internet on the DS, the original DS, and go underground and dig in the mine for fossils.
I think it would be foolish not to think that we're not going to start getting remakes. I think if they don't make a Heart Gold Soul Silver sometime, if it's not the next game, I think they're actually
What, Heart Gold Soul Silver?
yeah.
Those are the remakes
Well,
of
if they
Gold
don't
and
do
Silver.
it again, if they don't make that game again on the Switch, I would be shocked.
Well, but the oldest game without remakes is Sinnoh, is Diamond and Pearl.
I'm not saying that they won't make it, but I'm talking the most popular game in the franchise on a new console.
I kind of have a theory that if we don't get Sinnoh remakes next year, they do Let's Go Johto.
That's a definite possibility.
So it remains to be seen. But I mean, we'll obviously report on it when we have more information. But I definitely think if they do Sinnoh remakes next, then they could put the other halves of the fossils in there
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
because of the whole. It's and that could very well be what our wild area is in the Sinnoh remakes. If we get Sinnoh remakes, is the underground area.
Yeah, because I think going forward, any kind of remake is going to have a version of the wild area because that is the most awesome part.
For Generation 8, at least they might scrap the wild area eventually. Let's all hope they don't.
No.
But I was looking at the Sinnoh region map, and there are like offshoots. So there's like the map has like the main roads, but then there's like a huge forest here. There's like a desert thing here. There's a meadow of flowers here. Like it's all around the map. So I'm thinking instead of one huge wild area, like you can't just add something as big as the wild area to a map that's already been made.
Yeah.
I guess they could, but that wouldn't make a lot of sense. They could just make those areas wild, like smaller wild areas, or maybe connect them all somehow. Connect them through underground passages. Boom.
Boom.
That's it. That's
Done.
what they're gonna do.
Okay, because Golduck is a psychic type.
And then another version, another evidence for the third version is slight spoilers here. So it's just two names of characters that you meet in the story eventually. So here's your click off time if you want to.
If it's who I think it is, don't bother. Trust me, you're not going to lose anything.
Okay, it's Shieldbert and oh man, what is his name? Swordard?
Swordon or something like I don't know.
Swordard. It's Swordard and
Douche Canoe 1
Shieldbert.
and Douche Canoe 2.
Right, we're not going to talk about who they are. I just want to say that that's their names and they're kind of important to the Galar region.
Yeah, okay.
And then, if you're in the wild area, there are two lakes named at like West Axwell Lake and East Axwell Lake.
Okay, go on.
So Swordbert or Swordart,
Douchebag 1.
Shieldbert, and Axwell.
Ah! I'm sorry, you may hear ripping. I'm opening fan mail over here.
I am assuming that the third Pokemon game will be Pokemon Axe, and it will go into the third legend in a little bit more detail.
Pokemon Axe. That's good. I like that.
That's just a theory based on the name of the lakes in the game. It might not be.
What kind of theory is it?
I don't know. I'm not gonna do it.
Is it a game theory?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to, copy that guy.
No, I think that'd be pretty cool. I like that. Pokemon does like hiding stuff in plain sight. Right. We've had that happen for years and years and years with all different games, and they do like building on their lore. I wish they'd do a lot more to interconnect them, but each set has a very strong backstory to it, and this game is no exception. It's continuing to have a lot of mythology behind everything that you're doing. I don't like really the way they delivered it with the one professor. It seems like they was all just like very quick snippets. Oh wow, here's a revelation over nothing.
I feel like there's more. Like there's one big thing that happens in the game, and it's like oh, this explains this phenomenon. Okay,
Moving on.
is that it though?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep, that
You're not
must
going
be
to tell
it.
me how it doesn't explain anything to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the guy that's making this happen. That's it.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's more to elaborate on in that story, and they're either going to add it to the game, to these as like some kind of DLC thing, or they're going to make a third game in the Galar region.
I kind of hope they do. I like it. But maybe in a couple of years I'll be like, all right, we need something new. We'll see. So, what else do you have on your docket for today, Duck?
I did have a thing about talking about some of the Pokemon that I think are worthwhile to train up for competitive, but I think we'll get into that next week, and I'll have a more complete list with images of these Pokemon.
That
'Cause I
sounds like
actually added
a
this. I added this during the podcast, and I'm like, oh wait, nobody can see these. So so
what do
we'll
we?
just go over that next week and jump into TCG now.
Okay, let's go into TCG. What do you got?
We got a few promos revealed for the Sword and Shield set. We did get a promo Meowth a while back, and that's for if you go to the pre-release tournaments in Japan. And then they're also adding another promo, which is the Wooloo you see on screen now.
It's nothing special. It's just a picture of a goofy looking sheep. But
None of these are impactful.
no,
And I'm not going to go over their text, but there are the promo for buying a box in Japan is Duraludon. The promo for pre-release is Wooloo, and the promo for buying 2 boxes in Japan is a full art Hop. And if you want to know what Hop does, it's a supporter, and it says draw 3 cards. So
it's how.
yeah, it's Hal, it's
and-
Charon, it's was there somebody that did that in XY?
Dude, I don't even know at this point. All I know is
Here now.
like I said last week, there are far too many comparisons between Hal and Hop.
So that's it. And Japan gets their Sword and Shield set released on December 6th. Pre-releases actually start within like the 27th of this month, around there. So
it's not
we
too
should
far
get
off.
the full set list by then.
We should get the full set list, and this is bringing back credence to what we said a couple months ago now at this point, that we are coming more and more into line for a global standard.
Right.
So you're going to start seeing the releases coming out virtually at the same time as Japan, and we're getting closer and closer.
think.
We're getting closer and closer to that.
Right.
That is a theory we've been kicking around for a while, and it's one that I was right behind and really hoping it would happen when we started talking about it. And the more and more we watch, it seems like we were right, and I'm still banking on the fact that we're right.
Right. I just don't want somebody to misconstrue it as
The gospel.
fact when it's a theory, because I get very upset when somebody lies to me.
No, this is a theory.
Don't do it.
So don't take it as a gospel, but it does seem more and more likely that we were right. We are going to be coming to a global standard here soon.
And TCG has really been on lockdown. Like there's been, it's not just that I decided to stop playing the card game and then decided never to report on TCG. There's just nothing to report. I'm like digging and scrounging stuff up just so TCG can be included. But I imagine that we're about to get a huge influx of news. We're definitely getting the set list eventually, and I'm banking on there being more rule changes that we haven't received yet.
Yeah, we're almost coming up on a quarter, and it seems like at the end of every quarter we do get a report as to new banned cards and errata editions and stuff of that nature. So we're probably going to be seeing a lot of that coming out soon. But like you said, TCG's the news side of it has been just dead. It really has been. And for a while there, this podcast seemed like it was the Sword and Shield show. And we were digging for stuff. So much so that we were digging for stuff for this episode just to have more than just Sword and Shield. So much so that Duck was even he put in our format, and he wanted to talk about the release of a new Funko Pop that comes out.
This is not just filler. Excuse me. This is important. These things sell out quick. Go to whatever store you're going to buy them from and try to pre-order them. Look. This is the only one I bought in store because I had to order the other two because they were sold out. I had to order Pikachu too, but I'm not showing that.
So get your Funko Pops today.
If you're collecting the Pokemon Funko Pops, pre-order that Eevee. That's my public service announcement.
Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. It looks in all the Funko Pops. If you went out and saw Detective Pikachu, when the Ditto the Ditto in the movie takes a form of somebody, all the Funko Pops look like a bloody Ditto. So, yeah, if you're into Funko Pops, there is a brand new Eevee coming out. Pre-order that as quick as you can, if you can. I'm not sure. Can you pre-order collectibles?
You can pre-order them from GameStop.
Well, there you go. Go to the Evil Empire and give them a cash-free advance, and there you go. I was about ready to freaking strangle a guy at GameStop the other day.
An employee?
Yeah. Okay. So we went to a town nearby just so we want to get out of the house because they had a mall. Well, let me tell you something about this mall. It had all of 6 stores still open in it.
Yep.
It was like, really? I mean, why bother at this point? But it had a GameStop. And a lot of the GameStops now are getting retrofitted. And with the advent of them buying Think Geek, they're getting a lot of cool collectibles in. So one GameStop we went to on the other side of town, and actually 3/4 of their store was now a what's it called? Remember the internet cafes? Well, this was like a gaming cafe.
Oh, okay.
They had rows and rows of gaming chairs and consoles and everything set up, and so they could have like just go in there and sit and play, or tournaments or what have you. It's like, wow, this is really cool. And they had a lot of cool collectibles. I was actually sending you pictures of like a giant Charmander and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then we went to this one over at the mall, and it was not as pleasurable. And it was devoid of just about everything. But my wife finally found a pack of My Hero Academia socks. That's it. That's all she wanted was this My Hero Academia socks. She wanted All Might socks. So she found them, and I was like, yeah, get them. And she went up to the counter, and this should be a transaction that consists of, thank you for my socks. Please ring these up. Okay, ma'am, this will cost this much. Here's my money, sir. Thank you. Come again. Eventually, after like 5 minutes, I literally walked up to the counter, just looked at the guy, and said to my wife while looking at the guy, just pay for the damn socks so we can go.
Because he was trying to offer you a bunch of stuff.
He was trying to upsell everything in creation. Just take my money, give me my product, and go away.
I wouldn't blame the employee as much for that.
I will.
He gets less hours at work if you don't upsell
Okay.
stuff.
But, okay, here's the thing, though. I ran a video game store that ran the same way GameStop does when it comes to that issue. Our Matrix came out with hours, and your hours were based on use the new ratio, your pre-orders, your warranties, your membership cards, and there was another criteria too. I can't remember what it was. Console sales, I think. But there is so much better ways to do that. You know,
Oh, maybe he wasn't being professional about it.
no, he was just being a douche canoe.
But-
Like a big, sweaty, smelly douche canoe. There's easier ways to do it, folks. And if you're a GameStop employee or want to be a GameStop employee, why, I don't know. But if you do, maybe strike up a conversation and bring all those things up in conversation. Not just read the stupid script they give you to just smack people in the face with when you come up to the cashier to try to ring up. If I come up to the cashier because I'm ready to pay for my item, guess what? I am done. I want to leave.
Yeah. So this has been the GameStop review podcast.
Okay, so maybe you haven't noticed this, Doug. When I had the artwork done for the channel, I had my little chibi guy and your little chibi guy. Yours is smiling. Mine looks angry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the angry one. Anyhow, do you have anything else in the world of Pokemon you would like to discuss this week?
That's it. You should definitely check out our Discord, though. I literally was asking people to tell me what Pokemon to search for. So
If you want,
you guys,
so if you want free Pokemon, get on there because Duck's obsessed.
I'll do it. Oh, unless it's in the version I don't have.
Well, there's that. In which case, he'll just say, hey, can you get me this? Shout out to Cod King Vegeta, which is normally in our chat, for the full set of acro bikes he sent me. Thank you. If anybody has anything else, I would highly suggest that Discord. You can also look for us on Facebook. If you look at Mount Moon Podcast, you can find us there. You can find me on Facebook at _Raspberry01. You can watch us on Twitch, where we do the podcast every week, and I also do a lot of streaming with Sword and Shield and Pokemon PTCGO. Duck has taken a bit of a hiatus from his channel as of late, I've noticed. I'm fully expect you to come back here in a couple weeks once you get a new capture card.
Oh, yeah, I wish I had a capture card.
So that being said, we are looking for sponsorships for the podcast. But no, we do this purely out of love for what we do, and I want to share the knowledge and wealth of experience with the rest of the world, because we know that you cannot get through your day without hearing our soothing voices. Yeah, I just made that up on the fly. So, yeah, maybe GameStop will sponsor us, and actually, GameStop likes to sue former employees, so maybe not. Anyway, that being all said, folks, I see you here on every Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch for live recording of the podcast. We were here each and every week. We do have a day in December where we're going to be preempted. We will have to record either a day early or a day late, probably a day early. We may do something special for that one. But we will keep you apprised as to that. And I hope each and every one of you that are participating has a lovely Thanksgiving holiday. Me personally, I have a 3-day work week this week, so yeah. And I'm probably going to be doing some Sword and Shield because I got no family around here, so it's just going to be us and a ham. How about you, Duck?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be playing Pokemon.
Right on, brother. Okay, folks, with that being said, you have yourselves a delightful week. Duck, get us out of here.
All right, until next time, everybody, just remember, if it's too good to be blue, it's probably gold.
All right, folks, laters.